How's it going, everyone? How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. My name is JakeyXYZ, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into the UBA. I wrote week 2 in my notes. Week 3 roundup. We're gonna be going over some interesting matches. I'd say we definitely had a strong contender for potential battle of the season. But the rest of the matches weren't close. One of them wasn't close because of an unfortunate mistake, which we'll go over in a bit. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one to say the least. But yeah, check out all the coaches in the description down below. Make sure to subscribe to all of them so you not miss a single match of this season. Matches go up Saturdays and Sundays, so be sure to check out all those beautiful people. And bye week is coming after week 4 also, but like I mentioned, we will have a sort of mid-season roundup during that week. So I'll still be doing a roundup, but there will be no battles. But yeah, anyways, let's get right into it. First match of the week, we have the 0-3 Detroit Pyroars versus 2-1 Snowdonian Frosmoths. The Snowdonian Frosmoths walked away with a 6-0 sweep, our second sweep of the season. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It was not a pretty match. Again, Max tried to push the Terra Steel Quackawall, tried to do Swords Dance. This is becoming a very common trend for him. And it just died to Fluttermane. He took an unnecessary hit with the Moonblast, and then Mystical Fire was enough to kill it. And right there, I mean, those first 2 turns were just awful for Max. He loses one of his big hitters. He loses his Terra. He allows Fluttermane to get out with full health. Like, just the worst possible 2-turn start for him. And then I believe it was Meowscarada. Or no, Max went to Clodsire, and Jakey couldn't figure out who he wanted to switch out to because he wanted to keep Fluttermane alive. And he ended up going to Meowscarada, and was actually able to kill the Clodsire with a Flower Trick, which, by the way, Jakey, it always crits. It's guaranteed. But I didn't think the next play was bad for Max. He brought in Scale Dirge, Will-O-Wisp, basically shut down the Meowscarada. But I also didn't mind from Jakey. He decided to play KD and took that Meowscarada out. And he actually did go to Garganackle, which, for those of you who might not know, its ability prevents status conditions. So he avoided another Will-O-Wisp, which was great. And then Max made a very interesting play. He had 2 turns straight that were interesting to say the least. He decides to go with Rotom in front of a Rotom Heat in front of a Rock type, which that in and of itself was kind of like, eh. And then not only that, he chooses to Thunder Wave after already seeing that Will-O-Wisp didn't work. I guess, I don't know, maybe he assumed that Purifying Salt just prevents burns. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was a good 2-turn play. Unfortunately, we have not seen a single video from Max, so I can't even like try to give him benefit of the doubt or like tell you guys his perspective or anything like that. So yeah, all I can say is that was a huge misplay to say the least, because eventually Garganackle was able to whittle down Rotom Heat and take it out, and it did a really good job against Lugia as well. It was a bit of a stall fest because Lugia was recovering and Calm Minding. It missed a couple Hydro Pumps. But yeah, you could tell Max was just kind of trying to stall with the Lugia, but Garganackle was able to whittle it down. But at one point, Jakey made a really good play, and this effectively decided the match, was when he figured that Lugia was going to click Recover again, so he swaps out a Garganackle, goes to Sneasler, and that's exactly what happens. He gets a free switch because Lugia heals, but the Salt Cure does damage to Lugia. Jakey decides to fake out with Sneasler to hurt the Lugia more, and then the Salt Cure comes in, so he took a nice like 20% away from that Lugia, then decided to Terra Ghost and Shadow Clawed, took out the Lugia. Now, this is where the RG kind of went against Max, because Sneasler hit a Dire Claw on Walking Wake on the next turn, or next couple turns later, and it actually put the Walking Wake to sleep. I think Sneasler would have taken a hit and killed the Walking Wake regardless, but I just thought that was like some salt in the wound type RNG right there. And then, yeah, Sneasler was able to kill Skeldurge and also claim the MVP this week, closing out the sweep for Jakey. I mean, wow. I honestly, I did say last week that this match could easily get out of hand, and I favor Jakey if that were to happen. So I'm, I'll take that. But but I didn't expect that. Jakey dismantled Max. Like, that was a great job. It was a very methodical dismantling. He just broke Max down without really ever needing to set up as well. Jakey's normal MO is he sets up, he does a lot of work, but the only setup he clicked was Iron Defense for Garganackle when it wasn't even really necessary because he was in front of a special attacker. Otherwise, Jakey just did a great job. I'd say that's arguably his only misplay, and it wasn't even that bad of a misplay. Like, I wouldn't even say it's a misplay, really. Like, it was just unnecessary. But yeah, Max didn't do himself any favors, but Jakey fully deserved that win. I mean, through and through, he just like I said, dismantled Max. Like, that was a very impressive win from Jakey. And yeah, he joins the sweep club. So second sweep of the season, and definitely Max needs to go back to the drawing board a little bit with some of these strategies. But Jakey's looking good, man. Jakey's looking good. All right, next up we have this match is so frustrating. We have Team Coin versus the Miami Palafins. Team Coin walked away with a 6-3 victory. This was just a rough one to watch, man. So basically, it was kind of a back and forth for the first 2 turns of the match. The two of them just kind of were trading blows back and forth. But honestly, I thought that Humberto LionheartPlays, coach of the Miami Palafins, had momentum, really, like, for the majority of the first half of this match. He was forcing a lot of switches out of Allen. You can tell, you know, we've already talked about this the last couple of weeks, but Allen has very clearly a plan and things he wants to execute. So he tries to make switches and does things to make sure that those things can get executed. And Humberto was preventing a lot of that. He was just forcing switches and doing a lot of good work. And it was going well because Chen Pao came in, it killed Glare and Wheezing, and it was going to kill Groudon. Or no. It was always good, from what Humberto told me, it was always going to get sacrificed against Groudon. But unfortunately, when Chen Pao died, Humberto made a huge mistake and misclicked. So his intention was to go to Palafin, switch out of Palafin immediately, go to Ndidi, let Ndidi die, and bring in Hero Palafin to try and finish the match. I think it would have done a lot of work. I really do think Humberto would have closed this match out like a 6-3, 6-4 if that was the case. But unfortunately, he accidentally went to Ndidi. And it was just such a huge momentum shift because having broken down like the scenarios and, you know, post misclick, it's like he was never gonna win. It was really hard to recover from. It spiraled to him switching to Solgaleo, kind of a panic switch being brought out. It allowed Allen to set it allowed Tyranitar from Team Coin to set up the Dragon Dance, and that effectively finished the match. I mean, it got 3 straight kills and killed everything, but it's just really unfortunate because, like I said, once that misclick happened, like having broken down, you know, 3 or 4 different scenarios of how that could have played out, how Humberto could have recovered, it was never going to end well for him. It would have been like some crazy RNG for him to have pulled that off, where Allen would have had to throw really for him to be able to fully recover it and win. Maybe pulled it closer, 6-4, 6-5, but it never really looked like he could win after the misclick. But it sucks. It really sucks because, like I said, I feel like Miami had the full momentum heading in, you know, before the misclick happened when Chen Pao died, because the full intention, like I said, was to set up Palafin, get Palafin going, and, you know, and do some good work there. But unfortunately, that just didn't happen. And yeah, I think this match still would have ended closely either way, right? I think it would have been like a 6-5 win from Humberto, or like a 6-4 if he could manage to get a couple good hits in. But the lack of Hero Palafin early on because of the misclick, it just caused it to completely slip out of Miami's hand. And I get it. You know, I've been in matches where I make a mistake and I just kind of check out because I'm like, that sucks. Like, you know, I just, where you just mentally check out of the match, and that's kind of what happened to Humberto. He kind of just mentally checked out, and he unfortunately just couldn't recover in that one. And it's unfortunately another win for Allen that's got a slight asterisk, you know, but it is, you can only battle what's in front of you, right? It's not his fault. He didn't, you know, can't really do anything about it. So a win is a win, and he stays undefeated, 3-0. So, you know, like I said, you can put an asterisk all you want, but he's 3-0 at the end of the day. And I thought he played decently well, but I really do think this might just be the what if match of the season, because it's like, what if that misclick doesn't happen? How does this match go? It's really unfortunate, but, you know, Team Coin managed to walk away with the 6-3 victory and push up to 3-0. So it's really good for them. Next up, we have, like I mentioned in the intro, we have a potential candidate for battle of the season, potentially. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. I think it's battle of the season so far, for sure. We have the Montebello Morpeko versus the LA Inferno. This match ended with a 6-5 scoreline in favor of the LA Inferno as they progressed to 3-0 to join Team Coin as the remaining undefeated teams in the league. The Montebello Morpeko fall to 2-1. I am really mad at this match in a lot of ways because I think I could have ended it earlier, but also the RNG helped Carlos a lot, and not a lot, but there was definitely some RNG moments that were not ideal, and I definitely misplayed at multiple points, and he definitely misplayed at multiple points. It was just a kind of a sloppy match on both sides, if I'm being honest, like having broken it down, but it was just one of those sloppy matches where it just turns into a slugfest and the two of us are just going back and forth, trading blows. So it's a beautiful mess is basically what it was. But this match started very interesting. Carlos sends in King Gambit to start and decides to Swords Dance right off the rip, which I thought was ballsy. It allowed Gliscor to get a nice hit off on King Gambit, leaving at about like 20% or so. But I liked, it was a very ballsy play from Carlos. In the next turn, he chose to T-Wave with Gliscor in front of him, expecting the switch. I wish I would have called his bluff. I know maybe it's a hindsight thing. I wish I would have called his bluff and just killed it. But, you know, it is what it is. But eventually, I decided to go to Torkoal because I felt Torkoal could take a hit. And so Torkoal gets paralyzed. I was like, whatever, you know, Torkoal's slow as hell. It's like one of the slowest Pokemon out there. So I was like, it doesn't really matter. And I choose to go for a ground type move. He switches to Infernape, and I get fully parried, and Infernape is able to take out my Torkoal. It lived a scorching, or I forget what ground type move they use. It lived regardless on 1 basically, and was able to kill my Torkoal. But if I had managed to kill the Infernape sooner, I would have at least had a chance to get a clean switch or whatever. But it just really sucks that that was the case. So I had to bring in Deoxys. Deoxys killed Infernape, and then I was forced to switch out because he brought in Rillaboom, and I go to Archuludon, and he crit my Archuludon. I was able to take the first hit fine, and the stamina boost came in, and then he crits on the second Stomping Tantrum, leaving me at like 5 HP or something like that. I was able to get some okay damage off on it, but it was just like, yeah, man, that was really frustrating because Archuludon, I think maybe he could have taken 2 more Stomping Tantrums with the extra stamina boost. So it was just really frustrating, that crit. It's just, you know, that's already 2 instances of RNG, the full para, the crit. And at that point, it was just, the momentum was very much on Carlos' side. I thought, you know, maybe not completely. It was like probably 60-40, but he definitely had more control than I did. And so I decided to go to Gliscor. We kind of have a bit of a showdown with Gliscor and Rillaboom. No one died. But Carlos decides to just sack off the King Gambit, brings in Primarina, which I didn't think was an awful play. You know, kill the Gliscor, get rid of it. It's kind of being annoying. You know, Ice Beam it, get rid of it. But instead, this is kind of where Carlos screwed up his momentum. Like I said, I think he had control. I think he had momentum. But this is where he kind of screwed it up. He brings in Primarina, and instead of opting to just kill Gliscor, yeah, you're taking damage, but, you know, whatever. He just chooses not to kill Gliscor. He Terra Fairies, and he chooses to Calm Mind. So not only does he not get any damage off on Gliscor, period, he also lets Primarina take a free hit. Gliscor still outspeeds it, so it killed it the next turn. And Primarina effectively did nothing but waste the Terra. I thought at least, at bare minimum, what he could have done, and it might have still been a slight waste, who knows how that would have played out, was at least kill the Gliscor first turn, you know what I mean? Yeah, you take the fat Earthquake, yeah, you take a lot of damage, but at the very least, you get rid of Gliscor, you take it off the table. It's being annoying, you know. It was just not a smart play at all. Like I said, the least he could have done was kill Gliscor, because at least it's not a complete waste, right? The problem is Primarina did nothing but waste Terra. At the very least, it could have killed Gliscor. It could have at least done that. You would, you know, get a kill on the board and get rid of an annoying Pokemon, but he just didn't. You know, he didn't, and he effectively handed me momentum back, because at this point is when I kind of, you know, took control of the match a little bit more, or at least it became a lot more even between us. No one really had full momentum. I'd say maybe I had a little bit after that. But yeah, it was a bit of a rough one. But then he sends in Dragapult in front of Gliscor. And right here, he also could have killed Gliscor with a Dragon Club. Instead, he chose to Sucker Punch right away, which Gliscor took that pretty easily, and it was able to deliver a hefty hit onto the Dragon Ball. Didn't kill, but it hurt. It hurt that Dragon Ball bad. And he did use Dragon Claw the second time, killed Gliscor. It was a really dumb play for me because I literally just saw it use Sucker Punch, and I still chose to go to Deoxys for some reason. I still chose to go to Deoxys and try to kill it, knowing damn well it had Sucker Punch, and Deoxys just went down to one hit. It was really unfortunate, but then I go to Grimmsnarl, and again, another freaking instance of RNG. Dragon Ball uses Acrobatics on Grimm, and it got a crit. And it did a lot of damage and just really hurt Grimm's survivability. Grimmsnarl was able to kill the Dragon Ball with a Sucker Punch, but it's just really unfortunate it had to take that so much damage, because it would have been left at about half health. Instead, it was at like about 60 HP, 70 HP, something like that. But it's just really unfortunate with that crit. And then Carlos brought in Rillaboom, which I thought was smart. He taunted right away, forced my hand. I thought that was a good play. I couldn't switch out because I mean, my only other Pokemon at the time was Eternatus, and I couldn't risk, you know, him clicking Stomping Tantrum, which is exactly what happened. He clicked Stomping Tantrum, and it was a good thing I chose not to switch. But I let Grimmsnarl die to Rillaboom, and then Eternatus came in and killed it. And I was able to Terra Fairy in front of the Mewtwo and kill it and finish the match. I think Mewtwo last turn definitely should have clicked Zen Headbutt instead of Ice Beam, just for damage sake, potential flinch and all the good stuff, but chose to go for the Ice Punch. I get it. RNG's kind of, you know, you feeling it with that, trying to get the freeze. I would have been so mad if he froze me. But yeah, like I said, there's a bit of RNG in there. I thought Carlos played well though with it and just kind of rode a lot of momentum up until that Primarina. And even after the Primarina, I think he still recovered well. That's kind of been his MO. He's been able to recover well, he's been able to recover pretty well in a lot of his matches. So, but that's 3 weeks in a row. He has a little bit of RNG on his side. This season is kind of pulling for him. I would not have been surprised if he froze me with the Ice Punch. But it was an intense, just maybe unnecessarily so, but it was very much an intense match. But nonetheless, like I said, it was just a beautiful mess. It was one of those matches where we could have both done so many different things, but like ultimately we just ended up with this. And I thought it was a banger, and I think it is the best match of the season so far. So definitely a showdown worthy of 2-2-0 teams, I'll tell you that much. But the Inferno walk away with a win. Let's go. Last match of week 3, we have the Colchester Celtics versus the Walton Wingulls. Surprisingly, we have a surprising amount of stuff to talk about in this match. It ended 6-1 for the Colchester Celtics, but I've never seen someone so upset at winning 6-1, and I will explain to you guys why. Because Nate's luck has been steadily getting better every week, and I can understand Pidge's frustration in this match because holy hell, you could tell right away that he wanted the sweep. You could tell with the way he set up agility with his Pathra. He got to like +4, then he baton passed to Umbreon, he cursed, then he baton passed to Mudsdale. Like, it's very clear that this man wanted a 6-0 sweep. There was an initial bit of foreshadowing when Palmont got an Air Slash onto Espathra, flinched, and to me that was like the game trying to warn Pidge that, hey, RNG is not going to be fully on your side in this match. So, and also Palmont actually did a decent amount of work because it got the flinch on his Pathra and it also got a swagger off on Umbreon, which was kind of good, but Mudsdale never hit itself with that confusion. And it actually managed to kill the Palmont, Terra Ghost, kill the Hatterene. Then Gengar came out, and good job from Nate. He did a great job picking his Terra because he Terra normaled. So Gengar was able to take a hit. But on that turn that he Terra normaled, he got Confuse Ray. So at that point, Mudsdale had already snapped out the swagger confusion, but Gengar got Confuse Ray. And it just was crazy because Nate got just like a crazy show of luck as well because he got Terra normal and then got Thrash later on, but obviously couldn't hit the Mudsdale because it was Ghost Terra. But that Confuse Ray was massive. I mean, it was huge. Mudsdale was able to kill the Gengar, but then I believe Tornadus came out and Mudsdale killed itself to the confusion. And holy hell, it's just luck to prevent the sweep, and at this point I think that's all Nate can hope for. It's just prevent the sweep. Pidge was visibly frustrated and annoyed at it. I've never seen him not like that annoyed at something, and I get it. The luck really was on Nate's side right there to prevent the sweep. It's very clear that's exactly what Pidge wanted, and I understand the frustration. Yeah, it just sucks that the sweep came crashing down because Mudsdale was set up perfectly to take everything down, and unfortunate that's what happened. But regardless, Pidge managed to win 6-1. Like I said, I've never seen someone so upset to win 6-1, but I get it. He wanted the sweep. That's kind of a tough one. From Pidge's POV, it's unfortunate that he couldn't pull out the sweep, and I know that was frustrating, but he'd take a dominant win nonetheless. It's his first win of the season. It's 6-1. He'll take it. You know, from Nate's POV, you can actually see the luck progressing further and further, but it's just kind of in small increments. I think this is definitely his luckiest match of the season so far. It's tough, but RNG is definitely starting to lean to his favor. I'd be a little worried if I got to play him in the future because his luck just keeps getting a little better and a little better and a little better. But regardless, the Colchester Celtics were able to walk away with their first win of the season in a dominant fashion. And also, taunt freaking works on Metronome, man. I thought it didn't work. I looked it up. I looked up like 4 different sites. They all said no. Stupid. So yes, taunt, it makes things infinitely worse for the Walton Wingulls because taunt is way more accessible than Torment, and it gets activated the first turn. So yeah, there's a lot of Pokemon that know Taunt, so that's really unfortunate for me. Pidge just fully exposed that, and yeah, that's not going to be pretty for him in his upcoming matches. But regardless, 6-1 victory for the Colchester Celtics. That is it for our week 3 matchups. Like I said, some interesting ones. We had a few dominant wins, and then one very unfortunate mistake, and one match that was close. Maybe it shouldn't have been, but it was, and it was just awesome to watch and be a part of. So let's get into our week 4 predictions. First up, we have the 1-2 Miami Palafins versus the 0-3 Detroit Pyroars. This is just a very necessary bounce back match for the Miami Palafins. It's just really unfortunate the way their match went, and you know, to come from that, you want to win. You want to win the next match. You want that win. You want to be able to, you know, put that mistake in the rearview mirror. They need some mental. They need to get the mental right, get some confidence going. And frankly, Max is not playing well right now. So if you want anyone, it's probably him. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just you're 0-3. So naturally, yeah, teams are going to want you. So I think this is a perfect opportunity. I'll keep saying it until, I guess, after this week. But I think Max should be able to put up a fight. Should. Keyword is should. But I think Lionheart takes this in a fairly methodical fashion. It'll probably be like a 6-3, 6-4 because Humberto likes to sacrifice the right pieces to ensure wins. So I doubt we'll see like a super dominant victory. But well, in the scoreline, but I'm sure it'll be pretty dominant. It's just Humberto's willing to make it a 6-3, 6-4. He doesn't care. As long as he gets the win. So I can see it being that, but I'm taking the Miami Palafins in that one. It's kind of a no-brainer right now. Next up, we have one of 2 potential candidates for Battle of the Week. We have the Inferno versus the Snowdonian Frosmoths. I am 3-0. The Frosmoths are 2-1. I am simultaneously very nervous and excited for his match. Jakey just presented a whole new side of himself, a whole new style. He went into this match just adopting a slow burn, methodical style that we haven't really seen from him. He's usually very just in your face, go, 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 set up. But instead, he really took his time to think out his moves and just very, like I said, methodically broke Max down. This should make for a really fun match, but I'm backing myself because, you know, I am undefeated. I feel like I've played well in my first 2 matches. Yes, I made some mistakes last week, but I do think I'm capable, obviously, of winning. But Jakey is just such a fierce battler. He's very scary to go against. He's very unpredictable, you know. So, and now seeing this different sort of methodical side of him, it's going to be an interesting one. Expect some fireworks in this match. Expect some freaking fireworks, but I'm going to back myself, but this is going to be a fun one. I promise you that. This is going to be a fun one. Next up, we have the 0-3 Walton Wingulls versus the 3-0 Team Coin. Obviously, as I said in the week 1 roundup, I am always going to be picking against the Walton Wingulls. That's just the nature of RNG and stuff like that. So I will be picking Team Coin. However, I have been informed by Alan, the doorman coach at Team Coin, that there are a couple of talking points here. So Nate's luck seems to be getting better every week, but Alan did inform me that he is planning on bringing Metronome. He said in his message a couple of Pokemon, so I still expect him to win. Like, he'll probably just have some fun at the beginning of the match, you know, have some Metronome shenanigans. But I still expect him to win regardless. But it'll make it for a more interesting match than we've seen. You know, we haven't really seen anyone go toe-to-toe with Nate in terms of, like, using Metronome, so I'm still taking Team Coin, but that is just something to think about. It could, you know, who knows? It could go crazy, and Nate somehow gets the right setup move and just destroys. We'll see, but I still expect Team Coin to walk away with this one and remain undefeated at 4-0. Pretty straightforward. Next up, we have the 1-2 Colchester Celtics versus the Montebello Morpeko, who are 2-1. I did say there were 2 candidates for Battle of the Week, and this is the other one. I trust Pidge to start finding his footing with his team. Regardless, I think this should be an intense showdown. These 2 kind of always go back and forth. Right now, I believe Pidge has the advantage in the, you know, history department, but it's not. I think it's only by 1. I think it might be like 3-2 or something like that. So their matches tend to be a bit of a brawl until it isn't. That's the thing. That's the key. The final, you know, 10 turns of their battles usually around there is normally when these matches take a quick turn, and things get very ugly for one side. So at least from what I can remember with their matches, usually the ending is very much like one-sided. I think this should be an intense showdown with Carlos, who's been a bit up and down. I mean, he'll lose momentum, but then he's able to regain it. And honestly, up until this last week, he was doing a great job of recovering and doing things like that. Unfortunately, he did make a huge misplay in this match, but that's kind of been his only major blemish this season. He's made little mistakes, nothing crazy though. That's really been his only mistake this season. So it's going to be an intense one. I think Pidges should start really understanding his team at this point. He finally got a win on the board. Not to mention RNG also does seem to be on Carlos' side a little bit this season, so that could play a factor. But I'm gonna back history. I'm taking Pidge in this one. I will not be surprised if Carlos wins. This is one of those where you just can't fully confidently call it one way. So I'm gonna say Colchester Celtics in like a 6-4, 6-5 fashion, but I could easily see that going the other way. I mean, I think Pidge will pull out the win, but expect a very close chess match here. I think this one can really go down to the wire. I think this one has more capability of being battle of the week than mine and Jakey's, but yeah, I'm gonna back the Colchester Celtics to get their second win of the season, and yes, so that should be a fun one. But going over the matchups real quick, we have the Miami Palafins versus the Detroit Pyroars. I am taking the Miami Palafins. We have the LA Inferno versus the Snowdonian Frosmoths. I am taking the LA Inferno. We have the Walton Wingulls versus Team Coin. I am taking Team Coin. And we have the Colchester Celtics versus the Montebello Morpeko. I am taking the Colchester Celtics. Let me know down below what you guys thought of week 3, and let me know your predictions for week 4. This was an interesting one. I feel like I've been saying that every week, but we've had some pretty weird battles this season. Some intense ones, some not so intense ones. It's kind of been all over the place, so I'm excited for week 4 and what that's going to bring. Yeah, be sure to check out all the coaches in the description down below. Subscribe to all those beautiful people. Follow all their good stuff, all their socials, and all that, you know, the usual. And yeah, week 4 will be taking place Saturday and Sunday, so do not miss it. And yeah, be sure to check out the socials in the description. Follow subscribers necessary. It's all greatly appreciated. And of course, be sure to share the socials with your friends, family. Let people know here. It's at. See you guys in the next one. Bye.